Good afternoon. Welcome to segment 2 of our series of webinars and videos based on our book, What Next? Equicapita's little book of What Next, meant to help business owners go through the daunting process of negotiating and valuing and selling your business. In this segment, we're going to talk about why most businesses never sell. Stephen, in your experience and in my experience, there's a lot of businesses that are always for sale. Like approximately, in your view, how many businesses are for sale at any given time?
Yeah, if you speak to professionals in the space, anecdotally, about 20% of all businesses are for sale at any particular moment in time. And of course, going beyond that, the key question is they may be for sale, but how many actually sell? And I think, given your background, Mike, you have some experience at that.
Well, and we talked about this in the opening segment of the webinar, in case you didn't see it. We talked about that there is, this massive cohort of baby boomer business owners looking to sell their businesses, and, a relatively small pool of buyers. And what we see, though, is while 20% of businesses available may be for sale at any one time, in our experience, that number of transactions that actually complete or businesses that actually sell is a much smaller percentage, and that could be as small as, again, 1 in 5 or 1 in 4. And so when you really think about it all the way through, that means effectively 1 in 20 businesses that is ever actually going to sell. So that is really the overriding premise between this book and these webinar videos, is to help you as business owners get through that process to successfully transact at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then those two numbers should really be in the back of your mind and set the stage for your thinking and for your timing when you look to start to monetize what could be a lifetime of work. It's not something, given the numbers we've just actually mentioned, that you can start with the expectation of, potentially having exited your businesses in a few months or even less than a year. Given these kind of numbers, it's actually a process that realistically could take multiple years. And so it really is something that you have to have a long-term plan to execute on, and potentially take some of the steps that we're recommending in this series of webinars, and really plan in advance when you're thinking about that transaction.
So we've mentioned the number of businesses for sale, the number of businesses that actually successfully sell, and there's got to be reasons that they're not selling, and we know them, but I think it's worth sharing with the people in watching the videos why they don't sell, or why we believe they don't sell. And I think it comes down to a few sort of high-level factors, and maybe you can share them.
Yeah, maybe we can just go back and forth, because actually there's quite a comprehensive list here that we've put together. In our experience and what we've seen to date, really one thing that can be an impediment to the sale of a business is a lack of understanding of how businesses are valued on the part of the vendor, which may lead to unrealistic valuation expectations, or just a refusal to view the offers that might be on the table as being reasonable. And that can be a real impediment to an ultimate transaction.
And secondly, I think with respect to that, in any transaction or negotiation, there's always going to be a bit of a gap. But understanding the perspective from the buyer's perspective, how businesses are valued, is a real advantage for a business owner when they go in the process. And secondly, the process itself to sell a business can take quite a long time, up to 3 years or more. And sometimes that is one of the factors that comes into why businesses don't sell, is because the business owners don't give themselves enough time to prepare for the process and to get through that process. They often wait for a point in time where their health is deteriorated and they're forced to sell, and as a result the business erodes in value, and it just doesn't, there's no opportunity for a going concern business to transact. The other thing is, once the business is considering selling, things change, opportunities are ignored, cash is conserved, and the things that made the business valuable in the first place are not continued on to continue to build the value and sustain the value of the business, and then there's really less there for the business buyer to purchase.
Another attribute of a business that can be a serious impediment to a sale is where you, as a successful entrepreneur, you have a very clear understanding and knowledge and expertise in how your business runs, but you haven't spread that knowledge out into a level of management beneath you that could operate the business in your absence. And this is a cliche, but it's been described as you don't have a business to sell, you really have a job. And of course, for private equity buyers, they need to buy a business that's self-sustaining and has all those systems and institutional knowledge accessible to the buyer after you leave. And that can be quite an impediment.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head of probably the #1 reason why
Yeah.
businesses don't sell, because they maybe are a great job for the business owner as opposed to a great business that has been built over a number of years, and that is, putting in place a management team that operates the business when the business owner is down in Palm Springs or Hawaii for 6 months a year. They've got the systems in place, the policies, the processes, procedures, everything in place that if any one person, whether it's the business owner or a key manager, is absent from the business for any period of time, someone else can step in and take over. And that is truly a business, and that's what most buyers are looking for, is that business. Yeah.
That's absolutely one of the most important things. And now, of course, we did promise at the outset of this series of webinars that we would provide what, in our view, was some things that you could do to prepare for a sale. And I think perhaps we've just touched on 2 of them, which is the preparing yourself for how businesses are valued and in passing that institutional knowledge onto the second level.
So that would mean understanding the valuation process.
Yes.
Figuring it out how buyers look at the value of the business, which we will get into much more detail in follow-on segments. And secondly, building up those policies,
yes.
procedures, systems, and most importantly, having that management team in place that actually gets the work done when the business owner's not there.
Absolutely.
Those are 2 key points.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us for today's segment of our webinar video series in support of our book, Equicapita's Little Book of What Next. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.